Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-873-7618. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent edition of the Power Trading Hour. And as always, we meet at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
If you caught the update at 2, we've got a lot of rumors. Some of them have at least the opportunity to maybe be kind of true, maybe totally true, may not be true at all. Who knows? But they're flying hot and heavy. Now, normally, I don't say much about them, but because today we're seeing actual movement in options and literally huge downside moves in options, somewhere in this pile of stuff is probably something that is true. Back on October, I think it was 17th, Joe Biden said that he was thinking about continuing to take crude out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to keep prices low. I thought maybe they would turn it off as soon as the election is over. Since we're probably not going to have some of these runoffs over for a couple of weeks, maybe it was going to run on a little long. I know that many people in the energy sector had been bidding prices up, thinking that on the shutdown of the flow of SPR that we'd really start seeing much higher prices. Now, he said it and kind of walked it back mid-October, but he's apparently, some people are reporting, again, all shadows and rumors, that maybe he'll continue on with it until March. So is it true? Who knows? Again, you tend to get a lot of big stories that kind of have the hint or maybe the smell or just a whiff that they could be possibly maybe true. But Wall Street's big on firing first and asking questions later. But that's just part of it. The other rumors running around are that there's going to be a giant series of spending bills in the lame duck Congress, he said. And that's starting to get people a little bit upset or rumored, thinking that maybe not a lot would actually go on. Rumors, a little more than rumors, actually, people saying that some people are already saying that they've got all the votes they need to flip the Senate. But again, who knows if any of this stuff or what it's true or when it will be true. Maybe it's true. It's just not true at the moment, but it happens later. So if anybody actually knows something or knows some source that isn't highly biased, you can call me at 877-927-6648. But, it may just be the totality of the rumors that are having an effect. And as I said, I kind of discount options expiration day itself and the delta neutral day when they sell a lot of puts and calls. And I would probably not say much about these other than the fact that option market makers are moving options today dramatically, and especially in the energy market. So maybe where there's a little bit of smoke, there will be some fire. Anything's possible. Literally anything's possible. At the same point, someone's asking if it could be good for people he's going to actually put this out. It should. And if we get in a war, it could cost millions of lives. So what's the reason for the SPR? Is it for us in its intended purpose in case we get in a war? Or just to occasionally come back and suppress prices? Now, I'm not going to pretend that no one else, no president ever, In fact, I think all of them have, for the last 30 years, have put their toe in the water on the SPR on occasion. Obama, Trump did, I think maybe 50 million barrels, maybe 200 million barrels for Obama. Before that, Bush went in for about 250 million barrels. So it is a time-honored tradition. The question is, do you do it for its unintended purposes, which is, if we get into war, how do we put ships to sea? How do we fly airplanes? All the other reasons we have it. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people in the media have been pushing a narrative where we don't need it anymore. We've got all this shale, and we can just go up there and get it if we want. Now, I don't tend to or try to say that I'm a diviner of all truth, but I kind of like having a lot of oil ready to go, not having to go get it in case some kind of war did break out. So I would kind of lean to that side, but I do understand the political ramifications. And everybody, going back to Bill Clinton, has used it on occasion, some more than others. We had 700 million barrels, because I did look through all this today, on Election Day 2021, or not Election Day, but Inauguration Day. We're down in the low 400 million barrels. So you can make your own calculations on that, but we've used a fairly significant amount of that SPR. Now, in the short term, can you actually smash prices with it? You certainly can. Now, has everybody in the past used it for political issues? Yes. So would this be any different? No. But it doesn't make it any less political. But that would be my opinion. 877-927-6648. Email me at path@tfnn.com. And, of course, you can always put a message in the den. So what else do we have going on here today? I wanted to get into some of the others. Up volume had been poor. In fact, I should have changed that. It actually got a little bit better to the downside yesterday. Today is delta neutral. Many people are out saying the CPI is going to be disastrous. I don't know how they think they know. But apparently they've convinced more than a few people in the options market that that is true. We've talked also about the bond market being closed on Friday, and the possibility for huge amounts of shenanigans. Could they just wash everybody out before Friday and without access to the bond market? Certainly possible. So I'm up for anything. I understand that there's a lot of, what would you call it, emotions surrounding not only the election, but a lot of other issues. And that's where a lot of bad decisions are made in the stock market. We'll be back in a minute.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstat's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstat breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you grinding in the market, but seeing little to no return? Or are you a successful trader, simply looking to make your job a little easier? Learn to take the path of least resistance with David White's powerful trading newsletter. David White is an accomplished trader whose deep understanding of technology and the markets allows him to consistently find and share winning trades. Support and resistance define the ranges in which stocks trade. By understanding these trading ranges, David White is able to find the path of least resistance. David White's trading newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, is delivered daily before the markets open to make every trading day an easy win. Visit TFNN.com today and subscribe to David White's Ultimate Trading Newsletter for $119 a month. And try all of our newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Take the path of least resistance at TFNN, educating investors. Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-873-7618.
And we're back. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but this is pretty wild for the day before the CPI. You can see a lot more of this catching somebody by surprise at the CPI instead of trying to trade in front of it. But that may be it too. So we've got a lot of different stuff going on. Someone had a question about Tesla and whether it's done or not. You know, I think the entire market is looking absolutely horrifically bad at the moment. We saw what I thought was a big heads up, and I had my newsletter, which is that we saw the high this week for a while with everybody not being able to short, and they had before. Almost always you get that. In fact, I think I had that in my, I had it in the newsletter. Let's look at that. I tend to watch put call ratios, but the ones that tend to have the biggest swings are the ones on the VIX. And if you're really unfamiliar or are new, the VIX is just the out of the money. That means there's no inherent value in the options, the out of the money puts and calls. So we had almost a historic low. I think the lowest we've seen is 15 on the VIX put call ratio. But the reason I like that is there's no inherent value in it, and it tends to be what people buy when they think that there's a huge move coming one way or the other. It tends to be a contra indicator, i.e. when no one's shorting, that's generally a top. When folks are actually shorting a great deal, then, of course, generally the market squeezes them out before it turns around. But, yeah, a pretty significantly low VIX put-call ratio. You see kind of the opposite side on the others, and that is that people buy put calls in the monies, in the equities, And the more they buy, it's kind of a indication that they're worried about some lower prices. So yesterday we did get a big or part of a bounce, which meant that somebody thought that we were going lower. Even in the VIX put call, we had a little bit of a bounce. But generally, when I see those very low VIX put call ratios, it's not a day or two later that you can look in the rearview mirror and go, yeah, we probably had a fairly significant high or low for the next week or two. So that's it. Anyway, as I said earlier, we've got a question here. Okay. We've got some emails in here. People are sending me their favorite rumors here today, and we're not talking about the 1976 album from Fleetwood Mac. We're talking about a bunch of other ones. So kind of interesting. Okay. Yep. How about we start a rumor? We could be the beginning of it, and then when we hear it back, we can find out what's good. Anyway, the first question of the day is Tesla. Is it done? You've got some fairly decent moves out here. What's kind of amazing is everybody lately, Johnny to the story out here. When I was telling everybody for 2 years at $1,000, this is a $40 stock, or maybe a $60 stock. And now they're all telling me, how could you not see this coming? And I guess I just got tired of talking about it after a while. But people were insane when it was at highs, and now they're insane about it as it's going down, mostly because they have an axe to grind with the CEO, and he did something they didn't quite like. And it wasn't because he built a bad car or changed anything. He just said he wanted some freedom of speech. And, well, that's not, we're not cotton to that. That freedom of speech, that's scary. Any freedom, very scary, folks. So, again, now everybody's kind of turned on him. And one of the rules of being a celebrity is if the media built you up, they can tear you back down. Only people that they haven't built up can they not tear down. So certainly after a great deal after Musk, because he's threatening to actually have rules for all sides of the political debate, which we can't have. So huge down day. And again, they moved this thing up. But before it split, I thought it was a $40 or $60 stock when it was $1,000. So I don't know who these people are. Probably people that had never listened to my show over the last few years. Maybe. Or maybe they conveniently forgot. The problem with Tesla, and it was always with Tesla, and it's going to continue to be with Tesla, is the average is an 8% margin on cars. Eventually, the rest of the market's going to come back and find you somewhere. We talked about all the new trucks that were coming, or the Ford truck and some of the others out there, and maybe some of the other issues. But, at what point did someone actually wake up, other than him buying Twitter, and say that he said a bunch of stuff that never came true? There was never the big semi that was ever going to work. You could only, after you put all the batteries on it, you might have, out of 80,000 pounds, you might have 20,000 pounds you could actually haul. I mean, we went through all the stuff out there. And then suddenly everybody's decided that, well, maybe none of that was true. That bizarre-looking pickup thing he had, I said it sucked from the day one. So you're going to have to really do a lot better in the emails of telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. All you have to do is go back a few years, and you will see I said the same thing. And it's always the same thing. And that is, eventually, any product that has a superior margin will eventually have competitors and the margins will come back to probably historic and usual levels. So, and I was always a little weird about whether or not the whole 25% margin thing was true at all. So anyway, put that in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. Emailers, of which apparently there were several. I just, maybe I said something yesterday that brought it out in folks. But, I thought it was a $60 stock before the split, so maybe it's a $25 stock eventually. And that would be about right. And two, at $1,000, they had 40 years of the next profit in it. 40 years. Every time I bring it up, the Muscovites, the Tesla folks, oh, it's different this time. It's never different. We'll be back in a minute.
If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my Gold Report. The Gold Report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the Gold Report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, JDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the Gold Report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Thinkorswim. For more information, just click the Thinkorswim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Well, I did go through a few options during the break and see, option market makers are not always right. They're generally right 80% of the time, though, and they are looking for something wicked this way it comes. Rivian question from the email from Zach. Again, I think you're going to go back and test these lows. 1925 is the May 11th low, and I think you got probably enough volume to at least get back down under 25 and that 1925. But maybe I'll change my mind tomorrow after the CPI numbers. Maybe it's just a horrible trick to get everybody short. But again, very few people were short. And that is generally when you get these huge moves in the market because there's no natural buyers to get it. 877-927-6648. And let's see, we got a few more emails here. Okay. And question about the semis from Jonathan. Let's take a quick look at the SMHs first, and then we'll go through a couple of them. You're down a little bit on the SMHs. Not a lot of volume, apparently. You fill the gap, and that's generally, if you're thinking about going short, that's generally where you want to do it. You'll see something like that where you fill about halfway, and then the market starts pulling back. Now, maybe it finds some support. Maybe I'm all wet about being a little nervous here in the market, but certainly nothing is looking good. Okay, let's take a look at NVIDIA. Kind of the same thing. We've talked about this for a few days now. How many of these stocks have come back, half filled their gap? And I think we actually said yesterday or the day before, that is, if you wanted to be short, that's where in a downtrend, when it comes back up there, if you're going to take a shot, that's where you take it. Wait till it fills the big gap, hopefully with lighter volume. In this case, it did. It came down on the 1st of September in NVIDIA with 118 million shares. Yesterday, you had 60 million shares as you filled that gap, even though it was some fairly decent volume. And now you pop back lower. But not going to say that's going to continue, but that is the best place to put a short that I've ever found. Okay. Okay, you have any details on Robinhood, Binance, all the... I'm not sure about Portland or Ty Douglas. I'm not that into that much. We talked a few times about Robinhood having some real problems and them finding out how the actual business actually ran, which is they were selling orders, front-running the orders to other folks and taking the cash. And as that slowly comes out, it looks bleaker and bleaker for what these guys can do. But yeah, certainly coming back down. And again, a lot of these, we talked about, what was the company name yesterday? What was it? Carvana, CVNA. About the bond guys taking a powder on that. Was it correct? CVNA? I did not put it in there right. CVNA. But we're starting, at least from what I've seen today and a little bit yesterday, we're starting to see people really get concerned on some of these stocks and thinking that normally you can build a company back up, sell your bonds to some suckers and move on. But, whether it's Robinhood or Carvana, a lot of these small caps that have bonds out there, these guys are starting to fire sales. So that is, when the bond guys start to run, that's when you should get nervous. And, on Monday it was Carvana, or maybe it was Friday, can't remember now. They started to run. Now we're starting to see others run. And maybe when we actually get into all the rumors that weren't true, the rumor that will be true is we've got some bigger problem in the market. Some people bring up Kathy Woods and her ARK fund. In fact, I didn't look at that yet. Let's do ARK. You just got to figure she is such the prodigal son right out of the, was it ARK, right? You got to think that when we have a all-time low for the next 10 years, it's going to be on her going out of business, right? Getting replaced, something. The only good thing she should say today is she is testing a high volume low. That is the May 12th low, $35.10 of this year. Had 80 million shares, and you're only into it with 21. But that was, you were really kind of already broken that $35 level. You're 32.64 to it before the end of the day. So you never know. As Warren Buffett likes to say, you only know who's swimming without a bathing suit when the tide goes out. And generally, these bond guys are the canaries in the coal mine. But at the same time, we were talking about that a little bit yesterday in the Tiger's Den with our UK contingent. And she was talking about some of these being kind of the canary in the coal mine kind of deals. But I thought it was kind of interesting to see that everybody's starting to finally agree that maybe Bitcoin is not as trustworthy as everybody else thought it was. As I said, I always called it Bitcon, so I was never a big fan of it. But, again, like rumors, a lot of these things sound so good. They're all blue sky. In the end, they're no different than the tulips of 1619. And if you're not familiar with Tulip Mania, probably the best historical book ever on this is called A Short History of Financial Euphoria by John Kenneth Galbraith. He was the economist to JFK. But it's about 100 to 110 pages. You can read through it, but it's just, just amazing how often this happens. In fact, another guy wrote a book that even expanded on this, that goes back to bubbles, back to Jesus' time. So it's been something that's happened and been around for forever. But, you broke through some of these. You've done it on lighter volume, but they aren't pulling back into the trading range as they should. Tulip Fever, is that actually a movie? I've never heard of that. We'll be back in a minute.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, for free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
After the market blew up in 2000, I decided it was probably a opportunity, especially while I was waiting for the market to start bottoming and learning a little bit more. I had only been full-time trading for 2 years, and of course, talk about being dropped in the deep end, the dot-com bubble, euphoria. I remember, and I think Tom probably will too. There was a trader who was a pastor at a church over on Dale Mayberry. If you're familiar with Tampa, I always call it. I think it's something else, but I always called it Dale Mayberry, like the TV show. And anyway, it was like south of the interstate a little bit, but you know, in late 98 and 99, he could have 800 people show up. I mean, he had a big church, and he could fill it, and he had to throw $10 in the kitty for the church. But people, I think that made more money for the church than anything else. But it was kind of interesting to watch that go up to having 800 people to 6 months later having trouble in 2000. Bring maybe 50 or 80 people in at the height of irrational exuberance. But I read a bunch of books about bubbles at the time, and the one that I think is probably best for a trader is this book from John Kenneth Galbraith. But on all those books, I did write down notes, and they're always interesting. But one of the best things in the book is the euphoric episode is protected and sustained by the will of those who are involved in order to justify the circumstances that are making them rich. And it's equally protected by the will to ignore, exorcise, or condemn those who express doubts. And he had a bunch of other ones, but it was I think he wrote it in 1993. So it missed the dot-com revolution. But he always had, he said probably the biggest ones have to do with banks and money. And he said the rule is that financial operations do not lend themselves to innovation. So as soon as I heard Bitcoin and it's different now and everything else, the first thing that I thought was the 2,000 years of history that said the rule is that financial operations do not lend themselves to innovation. I mean, ATMs, that kind of stuff. But no one's saying that you're going to be the richest man in the world because you got an ATM. People make them, you pay them. That's it. It's a product. But anyway, the other great thing was he slowly goes through all of them and says that there are a handful of things. And if you don't use this today, you'll probably think about it in years to come. But he said, first of all, the inventors are declared a genius. Does that sound like anybody we know? I'm going to build a car, and no one else can build it. I'm the only guy that can do it. After the initial run, additional leverage is encouraged and provided. Anyone that says a bubble is ready to burst is attacked, ridiculed. The bubble bursts. The public never blames itself for its greed. The geniuses are prosecuted, exiled, or killed. A recession or depression comes depending on how big the bubble was. Politicians pass new worthless laws. We saw that, didn't we, after the 2008 debacle in housing? And they had a bunch of laws, and like none of them got passed, and the few that did don't matter. Then a new generation comes along, and it occurs all over again. Anyway, he went through all the major cases, which are great. Tulip Mania, the Mississippi Bubble, Railroad, canal bubbles, Florida real estate scams in 1925, stock market boom bust, of course, in 1929. In 1960, the Investors Overseas Services. Most people don't even know that bowling alleys were the original .com here in the United States, and it was as good as anything in the .com bubble. Just that many people weren't in the stock market at the time. Junk bonds of the 80s, the 87 crash, the 1997 savings and loans debacle. Remember I-Omega? It was the bubble of a huge size before Tesla. .com craze came along, U.S. housing in 2008. And yes, 5 years ago, I put Tesla on the list here eventually. So you don't know when it's going to come. With mass delusions of crowds, it will eventually show up. But anyway, this originally was, I think I did it in 2000, maybe 2001, when I was going through all these books. JDSU. I'd never heard about that. Somebody is talking about Tulip Fever, which is a chick flick, he says, about that period time. But it does catch the flavor of those people that are incredibly insane. But I've always thought that Bitcoin was just a beanie baby without a beanie baby. But that was my thought. 877-927-6648. Anyway, on ARK, if you haven't read it, read Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. And he goes through a couple of traders. One is that they just keep throwing money at the market, and when they catch a market that's going up, a bull market, they're all thought of as geniuses. When the market comes back down, they're all broke. And guess what? No one thinks they're geniuses anymore. CMG question is, do you think Chipotle will fill the gap in 1327? There's a bunch of gaps in here. If I was short this thing, I would be, let's go out here and look at this. I'd be out to that 1360. That would have been where I'm at. I like, as far as, well, I mean, you can look at that smaller gap. Let's do that again here. If I can figure out a way to do that. We'll do that here. You've got so much, but this bigger gap is the one I would have targeted at to begin with, and that is the pop up on July 27th. That had 1.4 million shares. So you're coming back with lighter volume. You only have 151,000 shares today, but my target would have been probably 1350. Now maybe you get that in the next couple of days because the market does look weird. So I don't think I'd bail just yet, but my initial target would have been 1350 on Chipotle. We'll be back in a minute.
If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And I think it's Donald asked about something I talked about at the very beginning of the year, and that is what I said was the most important chart you will ever look at. This is the stages of a bubble as we wait for more information to come in. But I said, I think started right before I left for Christmas last year, that's what we want to look at. Yeah, if you want the link to it, just email me at path@tfnn.com. But there's a little bit more to it. But kind of weird that this is in the geography of transport systems. This kind of a good idea of the way to think about markets in general from Jean-Paul Rodrigue, Department of Global Studies, Hofstra University. I have no idea where that's at. It's you'd never know exactly where you're at. I think we're probably close to the despair part of the market. But there's a long time before you go through the mean, everybody throws their hands in, and you can make a low. I thought maybe that low would be handled after the first of the year. It may be coming a little bit earlier. the market's just acting horrifically bad. My guess is that we are going to retest 3,600. As we spoke before, we got CPI in the morning, and even more going on out here is, of course, that we have the bond market closed on Friday. So there's more than a little bit of shenanigans that can happen before Friday's close. Get a lot of sleep. You'll need it. Sell when you can, not when you have to. We shall return tomorrow.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems